A lot of people play gacha games, but do you think the majority of them have played the gacha game that got turned into a fighting game? Well, I tried it and it's called Granblue Fantasy Versus. On top of being a fighting game, this game features a story mode that's labeled RPG mode, and in this mode you get to fight enemies and bosses on a 2D plane using the same moves you would in an actual fight. But now, I'm gonna tell you about this wacky story. Our hero Gran is running for his life with his life-tethered girl named Lyria as they escape from Empire soldiers. Don't ask, it's complicated. They then encounter Catalina, someone who we find out journeys with them, except she doesn't seem to care about journeying with us right now. We then flash back to our heroes getting on the island on a skyboat. Oh, by the way, this world's set in the sky, and people ride sky ships everywhere? Gran's goal in life is to reach the end of the sky with his red dragon Vern and Lyria. We came to this island to pick up Catalina and resume that adventure, and after a few tutorials we get back to where we started. Catalina then claims if we're not willing to give up Lyria, that Gran needs to fight her, and then one fight later, she is then forced to retreat. We then fly our happy butts to the next island where Catalina retreated to. After pushing through her forces and fighting her for a second time, she finally comes to her senses and rejoins the crew. Oh no, overflowing hostility. Here we get to fight the first real boss of the game. It's a suit of armor known as a primal beast. Catalina, now realizing she was in the wrong, fights with us, making it a 2 versus 1. So I should note, for the rest of the game, every single chapter you have 2 characters. One you actually play, and then one's controlled by a CPU, but if you have someone else that wants to play, they can also use it. So, you can imagine how this goes when these early bosses do not have a lot of super armor. They get absolutely bodied. The boss fights are really cool for how a 2D fighting game handles it. They have a pretty big health bar, and after enough damage dealt to them, they go into overdrive, where they get a few more moves and a little more super armor. Now note, a few moves get super armor, not all of them. Also, fun fact, in this game, people die like they do in Pokemon. We then get to see a mysterious person who holds up contraptions that one would assume make people forget some of their memories or alter them in some way. We then cut to a different island where the 3 Musketeers are surrounded. They're forced to split up while fighting the horde of people around them and the Iron Giant. We then have the Blue Musketeer come and attack us, thinking we are the problem because of the girl in blue. The girl in blue. And this, I would really like to address, because the only thing she wears that is blue is her necklace. That's all she has. She has blue hair, but she's not in blue. She's very much a girl in white. It's a white dress. That's it. If you're gonna refer to a girl in blue on our party, that is 100% Catalina, not Lyria. And they will proceed to mess this up through the entire game, and I got really upset at this as soon as I realized, and I just wanted you to hear that, so enjoy that. And then after we slap him, he's like, "Ah, man, sorry bro, I remember you, let's go fight the Iron Giant." But plot twist, the yellow Musketeers had their memories wiped, so they attack us too. And then once we finally make her remember who we are, we finally get to fight the Iron Giant. Throughout all the way to the Iron Giant, there are 4 chapters where the entire dialogue sums up to we have to keep pushing through to get to the Iron Giant. And that is way too much for nothing happening. We then finally get to fight the Iron Giant, who has more super armor than anything so far. There are skills that you can equip to your character and your sub-character, and I thought for some reason giving the revive skill, which says that it'll revive the other person and heal them a bit, would be useful on my sub-character. But alas, I died and I did not get revived because it just died immediately. The skill is worthless. So one retry later where I just didn't get hit as much, and we're off to the next island. We get to encounter something that happens in every anime, the beach episode. This beach episode has mini Catalina robots running around. Beep, boop, beep. Destroy. And causes the female wrestling champ Ladiva to come and attack Catalina. Catalina then denies that these robots look like her, but like they have the hair and everything. I don't know what you're doing. And then after bringing Ladiva to her senses, we then learn that there's these 3 random brothers who are causing Robo Catalinas to come out of his imagination. So yeah. We then proceed to send these 3 brothers to Horny Jail, and then their goddess Yggdrasil shows up to free her followers, and then we have a new boss fight on our hands. And after that fight, and after a quick talk between the air quotes girl in blue and Yggdrasil, we then head off to get our last party member, Rosetta. On our way to the next island, we have goblins that raid our ship. Without ships or any means of transportation, they just show up with clubs and they're like, we gotta take the girl in blue. And after dealing with that, we run onto the island to find a bunny girl who calls us single, which is incredibly rude. And after making her remember who we are, we can finally see the Red Musketeer in his own little thing in a different area where he finds Belial, that creepy guy from earlier. Belial then proceeds to tell him everything, including how the Empire that re-emerged just has soldiers that had their memories altered.
And that Empire? What was it, Earth Day? It never really had a resurgence. Those troops are just a mob of former soldiers.
Meaning that your boy Kevin has memory changed, and now he's just a part of this empire we took down in the past. After telling the Red Musketeer all of this, he then says something along the lines of, "You won't remember this, so it didn't matter if I told you." When in fact, I don't think there's a single pawn that has managed to keep their memories different. And then after we literally just go do that, we find Rosetta. So Rosetta is a rose kind of spirit of the forest, and she's probably my second favorite boss in the game. She challenges us to make sure we're ready to take down the big bad. This means she just doesn't have her mind change, which is cool. It's just, you know what? I'm gonna make sure you're ready. And this fight is really cool because you actually use your super move to open up her defenses for a set period of time. Meaning you always have to be attacking her to get your gauge up, and there are different mechanics to being able to get your gauge a little faster. But it's just a really, it's a puzzle, but not a puzzle because you can still just do damage. It was also at this point I actually learned how the element system worked and just how important it was to set sub-weapons. So per the gacha game standard, you get to gacha for weapons, and each one of these have different elements and different rarities. So you can set your big one, and you can also set 9 just smaller ones that'll just add to your attack. So before I fought this, it was around 1600, and after I realized I could change the element and add to it, it ended up being 15k. I wish I would have known that sooner. We then head off to Pandemonium for the final battle. Editor's note: why the hell is an island called Pandemonium? That sounds like a cringy party theme, not an island. So as we get nearer and nearer to the resolution of the story, we have a big step. Belial comes and talks to our party on our skyship. He also tries to pet our pet dragon. We then see who we assume the real antagonist of the game is, as a projection, which I don't know how that happens. I've never seen anything even remotely like that in this world, but you know what, it's fine. We end up fighting Bahamut. But before that, 2 more people show up saying they're gonna kill us and then fight Bahamut, and we just dumpster them both and recruit them. But then we finally get to fight Bahamut. So all throughout this, I've seen other characters use their level 2 supers against me, which is when they're at relatively low health, but I haven't actually used it myself. But in this fight specifically, my player 2 was Gran, and he chose to use his level 2 super. And this level 2 super happens to have Bahamut in it. So I was fighting Bahamut with Bahamut, and this made me laugh probably way more than it should have, but like, we live in a wacky timeline, I really don't know what to say. I also then proceeded to die to Bahamut's insta-kill mechanic because I just saw a glowy light and like, it was too interesting to turn down. I got tunnel vision. And this is the first time I had like a real loss to a boss that wasn't like I thought I was gonna be fine, so it was kind of like but then on the run back, I completely obliterated him. He didn't even get to use his insta-kill attack more than once. And with this out of the way, we can finally make our way to Pandemonium, where everything is gonna go down. We then arrive on Pandemonium, we finally see everyone, and you know what? Beelzebub, the big bad, comes up to Belial and just team kills him.
Hey. Morning, Bubs. Sleep well? You look a little overexcited.
It was not surprising at all. But then we get to have the final boss fight of the game. And this consists of 3 phases. First, you get to fight Beelzebub in a base form. You then get to attack Beelzebub's avatar. And then you get to fight stronger Beelzebub. So this is the only time in the game that you have more than 1 phase in a boss fight. And this game does it really, really well. So for the first part of the fight, you fight just normal Beelzebub where he doesn't do as much damage, right? It's just kind of learning his pattern. You dumpster him, you fight the second person. But then when you get to that 3rd phase, you actually should know how to dodge all of his attacks. He has 1 new move, but otherwise everything is just stronger of the first one, meaning if you paid attention you were able to do a lot better. And it was a really cool like learning because it's not even that far apart. And then with a final damage check at the end, it's over. Our heroes wake up on a different island and everything seems peaceful. They then realize they're not in pandemonium anymore, but they all remember it. And then the shipmate Rackham says,
Couldn't have been a dream, could it?
and I swear if they went with that and they went with It's a Dream, I would have rioted so hard. Luckily, it was not a dream and everything did happen. We then get to see Belial on a different island somehow. He managed to survive, and then he says, Beelzebub just kind of left. He just vanished. So he ran away, I guess? Maybe? Anyways, overall, I had a blast with this game. It really provides a very unique experience for like a fighting game genre. But the best part of the game is the bosses. You get to just fight these big enemies. You get to have 2 characters if you want. It's just a really cool way to like fight something on a 2D plane that's not like, 3D. I would say the weakest part of this game is definitely the pacing of the story. I mean, there was the 4 stages where it's just the only thing happening is we need to keep pushing on. When enough of that happens, because there were a couple other points, but not as bad, it just kind of ruins the pacing of the story a bit. I'd recommend this game to people. I wish it had rollback, like every fighting game I wish had. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you'd like, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. I would high five you in real life if I saw you, and that's about all I can really say.